Greetings, friends. Yesterday I attended an event at the north side of Queen's Park, just by the King Edward VII statue. This event was put on by Roman Catholics, and they specifically were advertising this for Catholic men to come out and pray the Rosary, 12 mysteries or the 15 mysteries of relating to the Virgin Mary, which in Orthodox we also venerate her. So I'm not Roman Catholic, I'm Orthodox. I cannot participate in these prayers, but I'm friends with some Catholics and they invited me, so out of the spirit of goodwill, and because I come by Queen's Park and I enjoy the conversation sometimes, I attended. Now this is something you need to be respectful, and I was sitting there listening. It was a nice thing to listen to, and I can appreciate the structure that Catholics use in these prayers, and these are traditional Catholics, so we have a lot in common. We might have some differences because we are members of different churches, but we do share a lot in common in the history of the church. So I do think it was a positive thing what they were doing overall, but I have to be careful what I say because I'm Orthodox, so I can't say interpretation regarding to this. This is beyond me, but I would say that it's a positive thing. And there is some of the Logos operating throughout Christianity as it is today, which is a very diverse, fractured landscape where the label Christian even becomes like questionable. What do you use? So something on the Catholic is more closer in the spectrum to the Orthodox. So I do think it was a positive thing to listen to, and it's good that you're getting men coming out to do this. There were about 45 men. It wasn't like a huge turnout, but they're trying to get something going. It's a good example to follow, to simply pray in public. That's all it's doing. They're not protesting, but they are making a gathering in public, and they are praying and honoring the Virgin Mary and God in relation to that. They have the crucifixes there. They have Jesus on the cross there, and they have a statue of the Virgin Mary. Now in Orthodoxy we don't really do statuary, so that's a bit different, but we have lots of iconography of the Mother of God. She's very important for us to honor and to venerate, and not to worship as God, of course, as some people might mistakenly believe. But that is something we can share in common. And these prayers went on for about an hour and a half before they were concluding. Maybe it was a bit longer than that. I don't remember. But at that point, a group of Iranians began to gather on the other side of the statue, like 30 feet away. And I didn't know what was going on. All I heard was this like loud music start to blare, and it was like secular pop music. I don't know what exactly it was, but it was a little too loud, and the beat and the style of the music itself was nothing you could call highly cultured or sophisticated. It was just kind of like more or less pop music, just way too loud. And I was like, what on earth? What is going on here? And I was wondering, like you can no longer hear what's going on with the prayers, which I realized, I didn't know at the time, but the prayers were about to finish, so I guess that was okay, but it still had 5 to 10 minutes left in what the Catholics were doing. So maybe the Iranians had already agreed to come there at that time, but it was I just don't think any of them had any idea what was going on with these Catholics. And I mean, they could have waited. They could have been a little bit more considerate. And then more came, and then within half an hour there were thousands of Iranians there. Evidently they were gathering for speeches and then a march. And these were liberal Iranians. There were no hijabs among them, so they didn't seem to be practicing Muslims. But I don't know, I don't know what they would say if they're Muslims or not, but they were against the Iranian regime. They wanted Canada's Liberal Party ruling on, by Justin Trudeau, and to intervene and to do something to make it more difficult or bring down the Iranian regime, which they said was repressive, and women have to wear the hijab in Iran, and wearing the hijab is some lady's leftist. She sounded like a leftist speaker. The rhetoric and the tone, the angry tone, her speech mentioned that the hijab was a symbol of allegiance or submission to the Iranian regime that women have to wear, and it's a public symbol of that. And that could be true to maybe to some extent, but I noticed that many in the crowd were wearing face masks in the open air of October. If this was 10 months ago, I wonder if that number would be more than a smattering, because now people have, sort of the sheep have moved on more or less to a large degree. Not everyone. There's a lot of people that wear masks still, but a lot of people have moved on. But what would it look like 10 months ago? And you saw the rainbow flags amongst them. Not everywhere, but you did see, oh yeah, here rainbow flag, rainbow flag, rainbow flag, rainbow flag, man in lipstick, no hijabs, nothing like that. So not the hardline Muslim culture, which you can find here too, and will also gather by the thousands. These were kind of like liberal Iranian nationalists. I don't know if they were nationalists, but they had this Iranian flag, so they had there must be some nationalist sentiment or to bring out their flags, and but I just saw them as basically liberals. Like, I saw them as really no different from Western liberals, and they can be just used like pawns by the CIA to foster another revolution in Iran, as has happened before, if I understand correctly, or at least in other parts of the world, to foment and foster and if possible, bring to fruition a successful overturn of the ruling structure. Maybe the regime in Iran is repressive in some regards, however you use that word, repressive, but am I supposed to feel sympathy if they're being repressive, and then I'm being told that message by these people, and I'm supposed to feel sympathy for these people and their plight of whatever they want to do to change in their home country, even though they're in Canada right now, by the thousands upon thousands in Canada. I mean, I'm sorry, but the sympathy is not there. And quite frankly, if you're allowing the global state religion of, the global American empire, if you're allowing that state religion, and it is a religion, if you're allowing that into your culture, and evidently it's well established in Iran, evidently liberalism and Western whatever culture has made huge inroads there, then that's a sad and troubling sign for the Iranian people and their culture. They're about to be sucked in fully into the beast system. Even though it's not a Christian culture, we can recognize that traditional civilizations do participate in some of the logos, and they're about to be sucked into the beast system. So I don't feel sympathy if this is what... And another reason I don't feel sympathy is because of their angry tone, their inconsiderate arrival, just completely oblivious, like drowning out these Catholics who are actually not doing a political protest, but doing a gathering to pray, where these like secular liberal Iranians show up. And one of the remarks that the speaker made when their speech commenced to the thousands was, it started out sounding okay. She said, we have to respect that we're in Canada right now. Or something, I'm paraphrasing, something to that effect. We should recognize that we're in Canada right now, and we are on the land of the Anishinaabe and the Mississaugas, and she mentioned a few other native tribes that lived here before the Europeans came here. And then she went on with the rest of what she had to say. She made no mention of the English. She made no mention of the Scottish. It seemed oblivious to these people that they were standing in front of the statue of King Edward VII. Mind you, the ass of the horse was facing their crowd. The ass of King Edward VII's horse was facing them. They were in Queen's Park, named after Queen Victoria, arguably the second most popular queen in British history, or third, or she's up there with the two Elizabeths and herself, right? From the 19th century, which more parks and streets are named after Victoria in Canada than anywhere else in the British Empire, or the former empire, including Britain itself. But she was a huge symbol of the British. They're under the shadow of the legislative building, which was built in the 1890s, a huge example of the British imperial architecture at its height, the Richardsonian Romanesque style, a superb building of red sandstone. And yes, the empire is dead and gone, it's completely dead and gone, but the carcass that they're enjoying the carcass of this civilization, and they're agitating against the Liberal Party, which probably helped them get into Canada, the open Liberal Party. I mean, I agree, all the political parties would have done that, but, this is one of the chief Liberal points, is diversity Now they're upset and they want them to agitate to foment more revolution in their home countries. Like, this is just like completely shameless, and like I find it offensive, frankly. Ooh, you know, anyone can be offended, but for what it's worth, it's very disrespectful to the Canadians. The fact that she's clearly, by overlooking the English and the Scottish in her opening remarks and pushing the standard leftist rhetoric of our times, which is to give primacy of place to the indigenous, which is fine. You know, we can respect the indigenous peoples, but to give primacy to that, to discard or to negate or to downright address in derogatory fashion the European peoples, basically, that were involved in founding this country. It's just so blatant. And what sympathy do you hope to gain from Canadians for doing that? Now, maybe if we're dumb, we'll go along, but they don't even respect Canada, and then they want there to be more degeneracy and freedom for them to do whatever lifestyle they want all throughout the world in their home country. Never mind the fact that they're gathering in the thousands in Canada with their own Iranian flags. It just shows you that Canada is so fractured, it has no national cohesion at all. It's just completely ridiculous to me that we're expected to have sympathy for these people. I thought the contrast with what the Catholics were trying to do and what they were trying to do was very marked, and it was more than a meaningful coincidence to me. Hasta luego, amigos.